Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and a very good day to everyone. Welcome to BCM 3203 Computer Game Programming 2. As for this video, we will go on the introduction to the key concepts under Unity Physics Engines. As you know, physics enables objects to be controlled by an approximation of the forces which exist in the real world, such as the gravity, the velocity, and the acceleration. So, let's go to the first key concept, which is the collider. Colliders enable Unity to register when game objects strike or intersect each other. Game objects must have a rigid body component attached to them for collision to occur, meaning that this collider enable your game objects either to collide to one another or to intersect to each other. There are several types of collider in the Unity, such as the box, the sphere, the capsule, the mesh, the wheel, and the terrain colliders. So, you need to choose the appropriate collider for your game's object. For example, if your game object is some sort of vehicles like a jeep, a truck, a car, for example, you may use the box collider. If your object or your game object is an avatar or a person, an adventurer or anything that looks like a person, you may use the capsule collider. Okay, before that, let's take a look at the Unity where you can get this collider. Okay, let's say in my Unity, I have the game object I import from the Unity store, which is the car. So here is where you can get the collider. Choose the add component and then go to physics and box collider. Okay, here you are supposed to see the green box, the green visible box. Here, can you see it? Right. So we need to edit this collider so that it match with our game object. To edit this collider, go to the edit collider and click. You can see there are points here. So adjust the game object, adjust the collider. Okay. Again, try to adjust so that it fit with your game objects. Once done, click the edit collider. Here in box collider, you can see there is material which is attached to the physics material. We will go to this physics material later on, and it also has the is trigger here. Okay, what is the is trigger? Is trigger is similar to the collider, but it disables the physics on the components and enabling object to pass through it via a zone, and events can be called when objects enter or exit the trigger. So if you want to use the is trigger, then enable the is trigger parameter. However, one of the object must have a rigid body component attached to it, and as the best practice, objects that move within a trigger should have this component, which is the rigid body. So we go to the next key concept of physics is the rigid body. Rigid body allows the game object to be affected by the physics properties such as the gravity. In rigid body component, you can see there is a properties including mass, drag, angular drag, use gravity, is kinematic, interpolate, collision detection, and constraint. You can read details on this inside this lecture note. And then the is kinematic checkbox allow the rigid body to affect object via the Unity physics engine but will not affect it themselves. Okay, go back to our Unity. let's say let's say I want to create a new object, which is the sphere. Sorry, make it outside. Okay. Alright, so I'm sorry, let's come out. Okay, let's say I have an object here, and then I want to give a rigid body effect to this sphere. So go to add component physics rigid body. So I can adjust the parameter, and let's say I disable the use gravity and I click play. Nothing happened, isn't it? So let's say I enable the use gravity, and you can see the ball is tracked by the gravity. Okay, so here you can go through. Interpolation is how the collision are checked. Collision detection, the rate at which collision are checked. And constraint parameter is to define which axis object should not move. The next one is the scripting. When using the collision, or when you want to do the collision physics, you still need to play around with the scripting. Inside the scripting, we have the on collision enter. We also have, for example, like when a collision is registered, for example like this one, and it compared to the tag enemy, then it gives the direction to hit the enemy. And it also has another like on collision stay, on collision exit, and also if in order to enable or disable the gravity, you can use the bool rigid body dot use gravity and so on. Okay, that is about scripting. We will go on scripting more detail on the next video. The next one I want to introduce to you is about updates. Okay, where is this about updates? Let's go back to our Unity. We always when we develop ataupun when we create a script for our games, when we open, by default you will see the void update. This update is called once per frame. So but in game development there are different update that can be found, like fixed update, update, animation update, late update, and GUI update. And it gives different effect to your game development. For example, like update. Update is called once per frame, and this update function is depend on your computer speed or OS. Thus, your games will be run at different speed when play at different computer or devices. Compared to the fixed update, it called multiple times per frame, and most of the physics calculation will be called in this fixed update. The time between calculation is fixed, as the name implies. Unlike the late update, which is run once per frame, but it's run after the animation update. So, like I said, basically, if you want to do the physics, make sure you do it inside the fixed update. Otherwise, if you use it in the update function, your game will be slow if you play inside the slow computer. And the next one is the physics material. Okay, physics material controls how the friction of surfaces interact with other surfaces, and custom materials can be applied to the physics collider. Alright, so let's go to the Unity to see this physics material. Okay, to get this one, you go to the asset, and then uh, go to the create and physics material. So like for example here I said I'm creating the material for the bounce ball. Okay, material inside here. Okay, here is the parameter for the physics material, which is bounce. Let's say I give the bounciness for 1. Okay, I give it 1. Once set up the physics material, Now let's go back to the sphere. As you can see here in material, I want to give this bounce physics material to this ball. So I go to the sphere, and then inside the sphere collider you can see there is the material here. So click right here and choose bounce. Or the other way is by dragging this bound into this here. So you get, and let's play. So you can see the ball is bounced. Okay. And the next one is physics joint. Physics joint is a joint component that connects a rigid body to another rigid body or a fixed point in space. There are several types of physics joints such as hinge, fixed, spring, character, configurable joint. We will go these physics joints later on. This is just an introduction. So you can read every single thing about the physics joint. And the next one is the ray casting. Ray casting are a cast array or invisible connection between the one physics object and another. This ray casting will be your lab task for this week or for this video. This is the sample code for the raycast, which is the physics.raycast vector origin and direction. Origin parameter is the starting point of the ray in the world space. Vector directions is the direction of the ray being cast in the object space. Right, for example, like this one. Let's say this is the example or my code for the ray cast. What happened here is a ray cast is casting a ray downward, vector 3 dot down, so downward from the origin of whatever game object this script is attached to. If the distance between the transform position and the flow, which is the game object tagged with the environment, is at the deployment height, so call the deployed parachute. So that is the example of the ray casting code. And it is best practice when working with raycast to reduce the numbers of raycast in a scene and not to call raycast inside of the fixed update or update function and avoid the mesh collider. Okay, the next key concept inside the physics of Unity engines is the layers and collision matrix. When the default behavior is assigned to the game's object default layer, it's collide with everything. So, where you can find this layer collision matrix? Let's go to the Unity and then go to Edit, Project Setting, and Physics. Here you can see at the bottom part there is one layer collision matrix. This is how the collision matrix happen. Okay, right. So let's go back. And the next one, be optimized in doing your games. It is useful to explicitly define which objects collide with other objects. So basically, do define what objects collide with what object so that you can reduce the numbers of calculation and requiring less scripting. And as a conclusion, the Unity physics engines enable objects to approximate universal forces in nature such as gravity, velocity, acceleration, and friction. It allows for a wide range of objects with various physical properties to interact with other objects in a scene. That's it for this video. See you guys next. Thank you.